like he just said, make sure you guys behave here.
He's snoring in the background.
And if you snore, that's why I've got that soda can. Okay, so I'm Arnie Piper. I'm the vice chairman of Vermont Maple Sugar Makers Association. Come on.
Hi, thanks.
My sugar bush is located in Hyde Park, so I did a couple miles to come down here. But usually we make everybody come north to all our meetings, so I figured the least I can do is come down here once in a while. So what we're going to talk about is the Sugar House Certification Program and what we're doing for the state for what we think is going to be, hopefully we're going to be doing the right thing here. Here's our agenda. We're going to talk about the history of the program, because we used to have a program. How we want to go in the future. What kind of some of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threat analysis for the program. Believe me, it sounds a lot more complicated than it is. We're going to talk about the goals for this year, and then I'm going to show you some sugar maker comments, and then I think we're going to have a lot of time for question and answers. So we should have it. And if you've got any questions as I'm going along, go ahead and ask. I don't have a problem. If I need to kind of say, hey, I'll cover that, I'll tell you so. But this is a small group. Tell me what you need to know, and we'll get through this. It's all that info. So, 2014, Vermont Department or Agency of Agriculture, along with the MSMA, got a program going. It was administered by Vermont Maple Sugar Makers Association, but it was executed by the state. So the state had the inspectors, and they had a pretty good inspection program. It was about certifying the sugar house. It wasn't like if you're in NOFA, it didn't have anything to do with your woods. It was about food safety and having a good sugar house. Excuse me? Sure. Just get going. Yeah, just go ahead. Take that chair. That's okay. You take that chair. Now, when Henry Marcus, you guys all know Henry, or most of you, when Henry retired, that was pretty much the end of the program. And it wasn't just because it was Henry. The agency didn't want to fund inspectors because they were trying to figure out ways of cutting funds and stuff, and Maple was the first thing to go. And I'll talk a little more about that. And I think a lot of that had to do with, and I don't want to be political, but the governor who was in your backyard didn't seem to care much for Maple. That's all I can say. And his commissioner of agriculture really didn't care that much about Maple. That's for my take. So the program in 2018, Vermont Maple Sugar Maker Association applied for a grant through USDA. It's called Specialty Crop Lot. We hired our first director, I think in May. He started in July, and he's worked up. And he's basically all we have right now is we have a checklist. So we have about a 4-page checklist. Also out of Agency of Agriculture, through a different grant called the ACER grant, they hired this marketing company in Richmond called HMC. And HMC has started to kind of do some of the pretty stuff and interview people and make sure that we're really touching all the sugar makers. And they're a really good company. I've worked with them a little bit now and I'm pretty impressed. So they're kind of doing the marketing aspect of this. Agency of Agriculture, they're helping to fund it through this ACER grant, but they're not involved. That's not to say they aren't supporting this, because they really are supporting this program. Okay, here's our strategy. I think we acknowledge that quality, sugar makers have always really strived hard to make the very best syrup they can. And we know that maple is such a big part of our Vermont heritage, New Hampshire as well, that syrup is maple syrup is a really important aspect for us, and we want to be successful in it, and we want to make it better. And that, we know that. Even though you make the best syrup in the world, you still want to make it better than you are right now. And that's kind of where the strategy is. Nobody's saying, you don't make good syrup, and you don't make good syrup, and I make sucky syrup, so now we need to come up with a program so we can get everybody kind of out of the gutter and not making really good stuff. It's about, you already make great syrup, we need to get it, we need to keep it up at consistency super high level. Because what's going to happen, I guess what I have to say is, how many romaine lettuce issues do we need to have in our industry? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, we don't want that. You know, we kind of kicked the lead program, we got kind of kicked down the road, and we got through that, and we were very successful, and we did everything they asked us to do, and now we're there. So now kind of the next step is certified insure houses. Here's the purpose of the program. It's going to be voluntary. Nobody's going to make you do it. It's going to focus on the quality of the product, and it's going to have a very positive impact on the Vermont maple brand. VMSMA is going to be really behind this program. We're going to administer it. We've got a contract person who's going to head the program. He's going to hire inspectors. And for those of you who have dealt with other inspectors, I won't name anybody, but maybe you aren't always happy with the inspector that comes into the sugar house. Maybe they don't know much about maple. We want to make this so that these are people that understand sugar makers and understand how syrup is made. So they aren't going to be people that don't understand what kind of challenges we have. We're going to give you tools to be successful in this. Again, we need to make sure Vermont stays as the premier maple state in the country that produce, where that maple cachet exists. One of the big things here, if you went to some of the other FMSA briefings, we got to help sugar makers kind of meet that threshold that they're looking at in an inspection program. So the program's got to kind of be broad enough, be specific enough to meet what they want, but also be able to be something sugar makers understand. That's really where the challenge is right now. We've got a checklist that's kind of written for a sugar house inspector that might work for FMSA or FDA, not for something you guys are going to want to see. So we're trying to get there. Now, one of the key things is packers. They're getting to the point where people that they sell syrup to, Kroger's or any of those big package stores, they're going to start asking for third-party certification. They know that's right down the road, really coming soon. So, Bascom, Butternut, any of these big packers, those guys go out, and I suppose most of you guys down here probably sell your syrup to Bascoms. Up north, it's mostly to Butternut. The way Butternut does it is somebody from Butternut comes every year, sometimes not even every year. They look at your sugar house, and it's unannounced. I wouldn't even call it inspection, I'd call it a visit. Again, I don't know how Bascoms do it, but probably something similar. They want to make sure that you're meeting their standards. Well, that's not good enough for Kroger's. Kroger's really wants a third party, a neutral party that's going out there and certifying. What we're afraid is going to happen is if these guys all agree, all the big buyers, and I mean Bascoms, and tells those guys next year, no, we're not going to accept that. You need to have a program. We would be in a world of hurt. And so wouldn't the Packers. They'd be in a world of hurt because there wouldn't be anything to exist. There wouldn't be anybody out there to do it. So this program is trying to get ahead of the game. Third-party inspection, this will be that third-party inspection. Okay, here's some of the strengths. We know Vermont Maple is already a strong brand. I think I asked specifically Bruce. It's a very strong brand regionally, maybe not internationally. Maybe we don't care, but we need to make it a strong brand nationwide. Just give you a quick story. I was in Montana, had Vermont license plates on my car. Guy came out, saw me, he says, "You're from Vermont, right?" And I said, "Yep." He says, "You make maple syrup?" That was the first thing he said. And I said, "Yep, I do." And he was like, "Wow." He said, I kind of figured you did. I thought everybody who lived in Vermont did one of two things. They either skied or they made maple syrup. So kind of thinking that maybe Vermont does have some, people think that people from Vermont make maple syrup. At least he did. Now the strengths is Vermont Maple Sugar Makers Association is dedicated to making this program a success. This is our #1 goal, actually, two goals this year. Increase membership for the association and make this program really get beyond the phase of just becoming a test pilot program to making this a reality. But we've got the resources in place, and you're going to see as we get further into the year what our quality director is going to do as far as making this easy and seamless for all sugar makers to get certified. Weaknesses, it's going to be a hard sell to many sugar makers, especially those who don't, you know, I think the guy who sells, you know, with 25,000, 30,000 taps can see that about the third-party certification. Not a problem. I've got a modern sugar house. Maybe all I have to do is do a couple things, and I'll be certified. What we're worried about is called the heritage type sugar houses that were built 50, 60 years ago. Maybe don't have cement floors and don't have all the bells and whistles, and they've grown with the industry. Those are the ones that we have to kind of figure out a way of getting those sugar makers up to speed of where FDA wants them. And a lot of that's happening this coming year, where we're going to go in and we've got that food safety expert who also is a sugar maker who's going to help us get there. So, and I think one of the biggest weaknesses is that small scale sugar maker, the person who's maybe got 300, 400 taps, who sells to their neighbors, maybe sells a little bit at farmers markets. Those guys are going to say, why me? Why do I need to do this? There's nothing in it for me. Well, that could be the place where the romaine lettuce issue happens, is the small sugar house, the small operator who's just done it that way because they've always done it that way. I'm not saying it is, but that's kind of where some of the risk is. So we need to help those people get on board too. Opportunities. When FDA does come visit, you've already passed this test, you should pass this one. But hopefully, if you pass, get certified through VMSMA, you won't need to be looked at by FDA, because FDA is going to say, well, how do you already passed? Where do we need to come? Well, why do we need to come see you? You've already done it. And again, statewide or looking nationwide, this is going to increase your reputation for what people already consider to be a strong maple brand. Some of the threats. New York State, they just started, they used ACER grant money, and I don't know where they got the money from, beyond me. But they've got a program called New York State Grown and Certified Program in place. It covers all agricultural products. So if you think back to, what did Vermont used to have?
Seal of quality.
Seal of quality. It's kind of what they're doing now, is a seal of quality. So this covers all agricultural products, but maple's one of those products. Kind of the key aspect of that is they've got up to $50,000 matching money to help a sugar maker get to the standard. We don't have that money. And we're just like, man, you got that money with your ACER grant? I don't know how, but I don't know, maybe there's only enough for 2 grants, I don't know. But I'm not really sure. And the threat is, if Vermont's not prepared to when or if large food buyers demand third-party certification, it could be bad news for everybody. It isn't just going to be bad news for us as producers, but it'll also be for packers as well. So we've got some issues we want to get ahead of. Okay, here are the goals for this year. We've got a checklist. We want to get it revised. Currently, way too bureaucratic. We want to get on to the why the item is important. The other thing we're going to have on that is there's a lot of food safety training that they want us to do. How many here do food safety training with your employees in the sugar house? No, I'm not raising my hand either, so okay, we don't, because we don't really know what we're supposed to do. This should be one of those things. It's going to be something that's going to be on the website. You're going to go to the website and you're going to have education. It'll be another one of those drawdown things. Or if you don't have a computer, you call us, we send you the whole package. But it should have everything you need to know, especially with allergens. I have conversations with people. No, I don't even begin to know how important allergens are, because I don't live in that world. I live in the maple world where I think what I do is just fine. And then it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't eat a peanut butter sandwich and boil the same day. They really rather you not do that. Don't have any peanuts. Don't have any nuts in the sugar house. I don't know if that's going to be on the checklist, but I know that if you're boiling and you got a mouthful of peanuts and you're testing syrup, that's probably going to be not a failure, but points off. But I guess that's a bad thing. Just like putting lobsters in your food pan and boiling them during off season. Believe me, I know somebody did that. because they thought it'd be cool to have lobsters in the sugar house. So we're going to get a training program for inspectors, so that we can have inspectors, hopefully who are Maple people already, who understand, like I said, the challenges we're going through, and are going to be able to help everybody get through this. I mean, we're not making the bar low. We're going to make it high, but that distance between maybe where you are and here may be just a matter of not understanding all the standards. We can help you get there. We're going to do at least 20 mock inspections of a variety of types of sugar houses. And the reason that variety is important is so we can get those heritage type sugar houses, figure out a way of what do they need to do to get up to speed and be able to pass. And again, it could be some state-of-the-art sugar houses as well. Forms and procedures, from the application form to basically a certificate goes on the bill. And a lot of that stuff is HMC, the marketing companies developing for us. And then get a cost structure. We wanted, this program isn't going to be any good if the only way we can make it work is if we've got a, if the only way it'll work is through grants, that's not going to be good enough. We've got to be able to make it so this can last for several years until something else kind of takes over the program. So we got to have something to make it sustainable. Like I talked about, online references, food safety training. Either online, a book that you'll get. HMC is developing a plan to communicate primary and secondary audiences. The primary are the producers, the secondary are consumers, food service, wholesale, and packers. So they're working on that communications plan. They're also working with us on the videos that'll help train producers, some social content, certification, cheating documents, as well as some events that are going to go on that will help advertise the program. Again, those aren't things we're paying for, that's stuff that the state paid for. But they're giving it, HMC is working with VMSME, not for the state on this. So here's some comments. We got, HMC went out and they visited like 10 different sugar houses and talked with sugar makers. These are some of the comments they got from people. I don't know if I agree with the next to the last one. I left it on there because I wanted you to know that I didn't necessarily agree with everything that was said, but I think we're pretty legitimate already. I don't know. This program's going to make Vermont maple syrup legitimate. It should make it better than New York, better than New Hampshire.
No.
We fight with that all the time.
That's right. I won't beat you up. Okay, so these are some questions that we have for ourselves. So I've got to kind of turn these questions around for you guys and say, what do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think it's going to cost to get started? What do you think it should cost?
It cost $200 before.
It did. It was $200 before.
Was that a sustainable model while it was in existence?
Well, it wasn't because we weren't paying inspector. The only fee, the state was taking some of the money, and the MSMA was taking some of the money, and I don't really know. I can't answer that question. But it was $200 for every other year. I think.
I sort of think it would be too bad to have it very expensive because we really want people to do it. So, I don't want to make it too expensive. I would say $50 or $100 or something like that.
What about, how many taps do you have?
3,800.
$3,800. So should you pay the same amount of money as somebody that has $50,000?
No.
Well, maybe you wouldn't have to pay as much if you're a member of the Vermont Sugar Makers Association, and that would be a benefit for joining.
Okay.
Because
Well, I can tell you $50. We haven't done a lot of analysis on this. Is kind of one of the things. If just to pay mileage, which is what, 54 cents a mile, you aren't going to send too many inspectors out when you have to pay them 54 cents a mile. They'd have to be living in your sugar house for them, which isn't going to happen.
So there isn't enough grant money to pay
Oh,
for
no.
that kind of thing.
You know, grant money's not gonna cover that.
Yeah.
Grant money's only, right now, grant money's probably just barely covering the head of the quality control program. It isn't covering anything VSMA. That's kind of out of height for our 2 full-time employees, that they would have to administer this and not get it, you know, that just means that we're shifting resources towards the program. So, yeah, it's gonna have to be more than that.
How often was the inspection, or how often were people need to be recertified?
We look at a couple different options. One is an annual, or annual if you got above a certain score, that maybe it would be every 2 years or every 3 years. So, for instance, again, whatever 100 points is worth. So if you get 100 points, we don't see you for 3 years. You get the very bottom line passed at 70, maybe we go see you next year.
What's really the benefit of getting inspected though, because right now there isn't a huge incentive to do it, other than peace of mind that your practices are best. But I was talking with Alyssa Favreau earlier, and she didn't even know that we had an inspection process in place as of a few years ago. So the FDA and the state are not necessarily on the same page. So I don't know if getting this inspection is.
Well, we
it's
don't,
gonna
well, she's
save-
right, we don't. This is just
Yeah.
starting.
So we don't know if it's ever gonna save us from the FDA, save us from that.
It should.
But that's the intention, right?
The intention is this will, number one, it'll keep FDA away, because they're gonna say, what we hope to say is we provide a program that's robust enough, it's strict enough, it covers everything they wanna see covered, and we do it so they don't. That's a good thing. Keep FDA out of your sugar house. That's number one. Number two,
Yeah, and originally, the whole reason this whole program started was because the FDA wanted to come in and they were gonna charge anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a year to inspect your sugar house. So that's why Vermont Sugar Makers got into it and tried to do this volunteer to keep the FDA out from, so that's the incentive. Biggest incentive is to keep the FDA out of here.
well, that's the biggest incentive, and then there's the other incentive about that third-party inspection. That'll be, for some people, that would be probably the most important reason, is because Butternut and Bascom aren't gonna come, they can't come, they won't be able to come to your sugar house and say, yeah, we inspected it, because their buyers aren't gonna accept that.
Well, hopefully the incentive also is to have Vermont have the very best syrup in the world. I mean, I believe we do, but
Oh, yeah.
there are, we do, but we need to continue that.
Absolutely.
And, you do hear things that, there is improvement to be made there.
There is improvement to be made. I mean, you heard Bruce Bascom say at the opening that he's got a lot of people that don't make very good maple syrup. And I think it bothers him. And I think a lot of people go, hey, especially bulk, I'll give it to them and they can figure it out. And you know what? They're gonna be able to take that syrup and they're gonna be able to blend my bad with my good and all that stuff. So, the exact specifics of this program, we don't know. There's a lot of discussion with meetings about, okay, are we gonna sample every barrel? No, we're not gonna sample every barrel. I think we're kind of looking at, how you do your samples for your buyers, maybe one sample a day. That might be an option where, I don't think that's too much to give up if you boil an average of 20 days a year that you've lost 20, 1.5 ounce bottles. That isn't gonna break anybody and it's probably not gonna make a difference to your bottom line. So that's one option.
Do you think a lot, when you were mentioning the whole lettuce problems and stuff, like this year I was at a few craft fairs and I didn't know the people, I've lived in the same area for years, the people that were selling syrup. One guy, I'm sorry, his containers even looked a little dirty. And I think that's smaller, like when you said it's going to be mandatory, the people that are here, attending here, we care about our quality of syrup. It's those that are, they don't join, they don't care.
Well,
And then how do you make it mandatory? Where are you gonna get your names from, or where are they gonna get the things to even inspect them? Because I think they're more of your problem than the people sitting in the chairs here.
I agree with you. You wouldn't be here if you didn't care.
Right,
You wouldn't, you know, I don't know, it's like, it's the old preaching to the choir
yes.
routine. Am I preaching to the choir? Can I get an
Yes.
amen?
Yes.
Yeah, probably, I am. But the idea of you guys is you're gonna get out there and spread the word. So you're gonna tell people about this, and you're gonna spread the word. To answer your question, a farmer's market, somebody who's probably got syrup that's not looking up to speed and up to quality, that could be one of the things that farmers markets associations, which I believe are run by the state of Vermont.
Yeah, but these are
HCA.
more like craft fairs, you know, people that
Yeah.
are just setting up at a craft fair, you know, type thing.
But they're
and-
paid to get in, and if they're going to a craft fair, somebody should have said,
Well, I'll tell you, this one was in a school that I
Okay.
went to, and there was a few of them. And one's been there every craft fair, every year for many years. What are you gonna do? I mean, and that's where I think we're gonna run into the problem. I've tried to tell them to join the association many, many, many times. I give up, you know, to that kind of thing. So where do they come into play in all this? Are people going to ride the roads, see a sugar house during sugaring, say, hey, what's going, you know what I mean? Is that how they're gonna catch them? Or are you going, what are you gonna use for a list? Or
Well-
is that mandatory?
as you guys all know, we don't have any ability as an organization to enforce anything.
Correct.
Okay, that's first of all. We don't have any enforcement capabilities or responsibilities, and I'm sure we don't want to. That's not something we want. Who does though?
State.
The state does. And guess what happened with the state when Henry left? What happened? Okay, guess what happened this year? What happened this year?
They hired somebody. to do
They
it.
hired somebody to do it. So he may not be Henry, it may take him a while, but you know, we need to understand that Henry's gone. And we've got a new guy, and hopefully he'll be the guy to do it.
Yep, that's what I mean. Is this new guy possibly, are they gonna be able to fund at the state level? I mean, I
Yeah.
can't see the government really, they're gonna.
Well,
pour
that's
money
why I'm
into it.
saying that there was a big difference in the Agency of Agriculture with the commissioner. Anson Tebbets in Old Sherman. This is important. We meet with him at least once a quarter, if not twice a quarter, and talk to him about sugar. And the deputy, everybody, deputy's another sugar maker. You know, we're in a good position as an organization, from governor all the way down, because people are really behind the program and they're behind Maple. So
That's
we're in a good spot, which is a lot different than we were 3 or 4 years ago. Huge difference. So, but back to your question on what's it going to cost, we would like to make it really not much so everybody can do it. For you guys, I got 10,000 taps. It cost me $879 or something like that to get an organic inspection. What do I get out of it? Well, obviously I get something out of it. I get 15 cents a pound. So there's obviously a financial incentive. And I'm also going to get 75% of that back, as long as the money's available through what's that money? Coming from the Department of Agriculture. So that's federal money that gets funded from the state. So I should get 3/4 of that back. I guess what I kind of see, and I don't know, what do you guys think? Should it be 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, very large, medium, small? I hate to see everybody pay the same, but where do you think the breaks ought to be? A lot of this is me asking you guys. I want to get your input.
You probably have to do it by the tap.
Same as a membership, you know?
Okay. Same as a membership, have different levels. How about members versus non-members?
More for non-members.
More for non-members. Any non-members here?
I mean, actually, an out-of-state member.
You can be a member.
Yeah, can we?
Yeah.
The guys that are members
We,
are not
yeah, I
non-voting.
wouldn't know.
Sign up on your way out. You can, yeah, just because you're not from Vermont doesn't mean you can't be a member. You should have signed up when you walked in the door, because you would have got a 20.
I think they just can't vote.
Yeah.
My hunch is, having been in the insurance industry all my life, is the need is probably more at the end of the day for the small backyard person that doesn't come to educational sessions or whatever, but does sell their syrup to the public. And, you know, ignorance is bliss, but in some cases they don't know.
Yeah, and they've probably got old cans and they've got, you know, gathering tanks that are still galvanized.
I have a different question, like, how much training does a person need to become an inspector? And could we train some young folks who need jobs, like do like as part of a job, Vermont job, something careerish thing where there'd be more people around young folks that would be closer and you wouldn't have to pay so much to get them to come, you know what I mean, or it could be like
Regional reps.
yeah, regional reps, so it could be $50 an inspection. And if it wasn't a big involved, you didn't have to have a lot of letters at the end of your name to be an inspector.
Well, I don't think you need to have a lot of letters at the end of your name to be an inspector.
I don't know what you need.
No, you don't need to be, you don't need to have, no, what you need to be able to do is to have enough common sense to go through a list.
Yeah,
Understand maple, and I think having experience is better than not having experience. These guys are gonna be contractors, guys and gals are all gonna be contractors. Who's ever been through a NOFA inspection? You guys? None of you guys have been through a NOFA inspection? Or organic, none of you guys have had an organic inspection? Wow, okay.
I made ice cream for 5 years, and we were inspected every month.
Okay. Well, when you get an organic inspection, you go through North Organic Farmers Association, Northeast, and it's Vermont. So they've got their own chapter. They're out of Richmond, and then what they do is you have this long list you have to fill out, page and page and page. And then, but it's on a computer program, so it really didn't take all that long to do it. So once you've done it once, it's not that bad. You update it, you send it to them, and then they send you an inspector's name. The inspector will come out and see. In most cases, the inspectors don't know anything about it. They work off a checklist, they do the best they can. Sometimes their stuff seems kind of ridiculously, obscenely stupid. But you have to get through it because you have to be nice or you're going to get a no-go. Nobody wants to get a no-go because they'll send another inspector out that costs $300 more for them to send another person. What we don't want to do as an association is send you somebody who's hard to get along with, doesn't know what they're doing. We want them to understand maple. It'd be great if we could find young people that understand maple and can get out there and do it, but they'll be contractors. They're going to get so much an hour plus mileage. We do know that. So it's not like they're going to work for the MSMA full-time and be a career. It's going to be something they'll do on the sideline, which sometimes leans better towards retired people. You know what I'm saying. You don't know. You might do 20 a year. You know, and that might be it, which is good.
What if it were like at universities throughout Vermont and there was like a professor that was in charge of a program of like inspection, and so then you'd have them located throughout the state and then they can go to like places that are local to them, and it would be like something on the side that they do, and then maybe they could even teach students and like have it be like a voluntary program, or I don't know.
I don't know if I want.
No.
I would rather have somebody who knows maple than somebody who's a professor any day.
The professor that does maple.
A professor
It's
that does.
Vermont, it's Vermont.
Well, I think we've got
That's
one.
not too many.
He's going to be a pretty busy person because we've got one. So.
Well, but my fiance is an engineer that does maple.
Right. Yeah. But we don't have a lot of professors. Be great if we did, but they also might want a lot more money.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We do have to keep the price down. We have to have a fair inspection. We have to have somebody that knows the business and is mature enough to work with sugar makers who maybe you're kind of towing the line on passing and failing and help train people to get over the hump, which is important.
My general thought is, what are the standards that we're hoping for, and can we be more open with, like, I don't know all the little rules and whatnot, and when the whole FDA thing, like, scared out everyone go rush and sign up, everyone's afraid of those inspections and whatnot. we're actually not sure where we should be on certain spectrums. So this is all I'm talking about, like building the program, but I guess just in general, we're required to do good manufacturing processes. Where is a checklist that we can see to even know if we're, you know, abiding by those good manufacturing processes
Well, they-
before someone comes out and inspects us?
Absolutely. So what we're gonna do, there's gonna be two ways, because we have to be cognizant that not everybody has a computer, and not everybody has internet. Because that's the truth of Vermont. I think 80% of people in Vermont have internet. So it would be on a website, that checklist you're talking about. We've got a checklist now. I just don't want to give it to you. The reason I don't want to give it to you is because you would kind of turn it into like a stick, and you would start beating me over the head with it. And I'm just too sensitive to get a whole lot of that today. So, because it's too bureaucratic. It looks like it was written by FDA. Because the guy we hired who did that part of it was a food service guy. He worked at anything that made food in Vermont, your big industrial type, that's where that's where he worked for 20 years. So everything looks like something that you expect to see from FDA. That's not what we want to give you. We want to give you something that's got in English, along with this is why it's important. So that you can look at that, and you can look at the checklist, and if you don't want to do the certification program, fine. But you'll have that checklist, and you can go through it and say, I've done all these things. I think I'm pretty good to go. Because maybe that's an option you don't want to do. But are we still meeting our goal? I think we are. You know, again, we'd like you to have somebody look at you, but if you don't, that's fine too.
What's
you're
the
still gonna-
timeline on this? When do you expect to have this list up?
I think we'll have
Running.
I think we'll have a really good list by June. They're going to do at least 20 mock inspections between now, and I think he did his first one this week. So he's going to do at least 20 between now and the end of the sugar season.
Is someone working with the FDA rep
No.
to work on this list?
Well, what we've done is we went through the first person who did the checklist that isn't ready for prime time. He went through every food service regulation in the world, and he picked it out and said this is how it applies. He then went to the packers and ran it through the packers because they've got experts who know maple and know food safety, and they know FDA regs because they get FDA reg, out of the cuisine. So it's kind of gone through that test, but what they've come back with, even them knowing FDA regs and stuff, have said, no, this isn't good enough for sugar makers. And, me being a sugar maker, I said, no, that's not good enough for me. I want to know why I need to do it, and I need it in English. So that's kind of where we are. That's the next step. And they'll help define that and revise it a little bit as they go through this mock inspections.
Will it be similar to the certification from several years ago? That
It'll-
you got a paper before that, and you could go through the list of, your lights and your
Yep.
this and this and this. And
Should be.
that was all in English, that was,
But that wasn't, FDA really wasn't crazy about that, because it wasn't bureaucratic enough. So this is, and there was a lot of things, I didn't really cover food safety training at all.
no,
Because that's kind of where the really super weak was on the food safety, allergens, that sort of stuff. It was really good, you're right, it was. It was perfect English, it was easy to understand, you could read it and go, yeah, I got it. If I do these things, I pass. I agree with you. And that's what we should do, is have a list that you can see. So that's one thing that NOFA does, is it kind of like you go in and like, you don't know what the changes are because they don't tell you. And it's like they kind of want to catch you. Nobody wants to catch anybody. We want you to know exactly what you need to know so that when we come to inspect you, you'll be there.
Couple of limits, they're gonna have lead limits?
Lead limits are your packers already got lead limits, and the state has lead limits. Sure, yeah.
They're gonna keep pounding you on the head.
Yeah.
They can change the limits anytime they want, or whatever. I mean, what would Bascom have to sell to California, whatever?
Well, I couldn't tell you how much, I don't know off the top of my head, whatever you basically can't, the only lead you can have would be, I think if you've got some of your pumps, if they're brass, they're just gonna check. they're gonna check to make sure you're not above that lead limit. Because I know that in the previous inspection they did, and it was gonna cost you extra for a lead test. If you don't have any lead in your sugar house, you don't need to worry about it. If you do, you need to worry about it. So I couldn't tell you, I don't know the exact number of parts per billion. It's pretty high, because lead doesn't exist in the soil. You could naturally have lead in your soil.
I think when we were tested for one of those times, with 3 parts per billion.
Yeah, it isn't.
I wanted everybody's result put in the paper, and they wouldn't do that either. Because my house, my sugar house was pretty much all plastic and stainless, and I wasn't really worried about lead much. But I said, well, put my results in the paper, and put the next guys in there too. And they wouldn't do it.
Right, but who are you saying you should put in the paper? Bascom or?
No, this
it
was
was
back
second.
in the 90s,
Oh, in the 90s?
when the apple cider
Oh,
lead
okay.
thing
Yeah.
came to light. We had ours tested back then. And it came back like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, how are they gonna, I just don't understand,
Well,
who are they gonna tell? mean,
I don't know.
Who's gonna come?
Well, I was gonna tell you Packer, it's gonna be, I don't know, I can't tell you, I don't know exactly the number of parts per billion, what the limit is, but if you have something in your sugar house that has lead in it, you're gonna have to get tested, and if you either pass or you fail. And whatever that number is, like I said, I don't know what that number is. It's pretty low.
Who does the testing?
Um,
I mean, how do you get your syrup tested?
It's gonna go to the state testing facility. They would take a syrup sample and send it.
Who would take
Who would? The inspector would. If you had, if you've got lead, if you've got something that has lead in your sugar house, that would be one of the things you'd have to do. You would then, the inspector would then take a sample of your syrup and then they would go to the inspector.
This inspector?
Yes.
The one that's gonna be on this certificate?
Yes.
So he's gonna deal with lead?
No, he's gonna take the sample and he's gonna provide it to the people who do the test, which would be the state. But I would think Bascom would be doing that for selling the syrup at Bascom. So, I don't know. Because the regulation is now for packers, or you can't have it. It's like 0.
So the people that were certified last time, does that, doesn't mean anything?
Doesn't mean anything because certification ran out.
So what happens if they do this again? They pay all this money and they're certified and then 2 years down the line it folds again, they're out that money?
Well, if the program didn't fold, they would have had to get re-inspected anyway because their inspection was out of date. But it isn't forever. It's going to be every year, every other year, every third year, whatever the determination is on this. My guess is it'll probably be every year, just like the state program.
Is this inspection going to mainly be for producing the syrup in the sugar house area? Or would it encompass also a packing room? Like in our operation, we have a separate packing room in a separate building because we sell a lot, in the smaller containers. So is that part of it?
I think
or no?
that's gonna be included, would be if you pack syrup to sell retail. I don't know if we know if you have a candy kitchen, if it's gonna include candy kitchens. What we do know is anything that's gonna be a value-added product or value-added extension products, such as infused, that wouldn't be covered because it's not all retail. So, if you pack syrup on the premises or off the premises, that would be included. We don't know, I can't tell you about candy, cream, so I don't know, that's still going to be determined. Yes.
So, going back to that, like, what would it cost to get inspected? I think you said earlier something about like $879.
That's what it cost me to get inspected organically. For an organic inspection. No, nobody's talking, this
That
isn't.
seems really expensive.
Yeah.
It's per tab, it is a lot. Well, but I get 75, but the incentive's there because I get 15 cents a pound for being organic. So
Yeah.
you make it up by getting that organic premium. You also get it back if you apply quick enough. You get 75% of that back from the federal government through some sort of organic labor.
So, the program where you get some back from the government, is there some way to have some kind of grants or for the people who are selling it at craft fairs, to get those people on board to want to be inspected, or, where it doesn't really cost them anything. So then everybody can know that we're all making good syrup, because we're all certified. Or, I mean, sometimes it's gonna be illegal to sell it otherwise, perhaps, right? So to try to make it so that even the little people can be certified somehow.
I think that if we make this tiered system so that small producers have a low enough price, somewhere we gotta cover, at least cover that, and maybe the larger, but I think one of the things we have to see is, do small producers want to be inspected? And it's like we kind of look at that carrot stick deal. There's a possibility that the state which runs the farmers markets are going to say, if you're not certified, you can't. I'm not saying they're going to do that. If they do that, then a small producer would then have to be certified. I would hope that we could do this so that it isn't going to be so financially ridiculous that you're going to stop making. Nobody wants to tell you to stop making syrup because it doesn't make financial sense. But we have to be able to probably take the big guys and charge enough for them so that we can pay for the little guys. We do that a lot in economics and government.
So the benefit, or a lot of food producers have a seal on their containers that say, like, this product was made in an ISO facility or whatnot. Would there ever, just throwing this out there, be a program in place to make a seal that says syrup's packed in, insert acronym here, facility, and then in order for a producer to buy the containers that have this seal on it, they would have to submit, or obviously if it's, you would already have on file if the facility is passed or not. And eventually, if we get enough people who are using the certification, it's an incentive for people who are not, or it's almost a hit to them to say, my facility is cleaner than Joe Schmo's facility down the street, and kind of make it more of a wide known thing that facilities who are doing this are cleaner and better. And I think if you could put it on the packaging and make it a more regulated thing, we would be able to kind of force some of the people who are, hanging out in their basements to get in on this, because they can't buy the packaging without getting certified.
There's HMC, which is a marketing agency, I talked about that earlier. They're developing that seal of quality type of thing. We just got, I didn't go to the meeting, I think it was Tuesday, because I was tapping, so I didn't go to the meeting, but I didn't like it, but I was one of 4 people. I guess the other 3 kind of liked it okay. But it's going to be, right now what it is it's a sticker to put on, kind of like bird friendly, or I guess veteran made syrup. You get a sticker and you get organic stickers. That's one of the problems, that there's so many stickers to put on syrups that we're not sure what the consumer looks at and what the consumer thinks is the most important. I mean, I would
say that consumer health and safety probably goes above bird first, but
I know, but that's you, and I don't.
right.
I think first of all, most people when they see maple syrup on the shelf, they probably, I think they wouldn't be buying if they didn't think it was safe. But that's a good thing. But for instance, I think I was in Price Chopper one day, and I could hear this young couple discussing what kind of syrup they were going to buy. And they went down, and there was 5 or 6 different types. They didn't buy any. You know why they didn't buy it? None of them had non-GMO. None of them had a non-GMO sticker. They didn't buy it because they weren't going to buy that syrup, because they weren't sure it was a GMO. Like, oh my gosh.
Another sticker to put on.
Another sticker to put on. I guess, wildcrafted. I mean, my gosh, but no, you're right. That's one of those little things that we've got to have out there, but we got to make people understand it. And the research HMC has done so far was, we're not really sure that the public is. We're trying to sell this to sugar makers first, so that we can get everybody, small, large, huge, all the producers online for the certification program, and then kind of try to sell it to the consumers. And the consumers we're out looking at now are kind of wholesale, large buyers, and then consumer, the guys who are buying it at farmers markets. But we'd love to see Vermont say, hey, if you're not certified, you can't sell at farmers markets. But then sounds kind of mean too. But
How about the jugs now? You say every association member gets a discount on the jug. Why couldn't they put HMO on the jug and not allow, don't sell it to people that aren't members? If the market wants to buy something with a, no HMO or HMO, whatever you wanna go with.
yep.
The people that aren't members can't buy the jug.
Yeah. Good luck on that.
Right. I think you would find the same problem you do with dealers today, where you find people buying association jugs that aren't members of the
Yeah.
association, so that would go out the window real quick.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna want the dealers to have to, have them bring a paper to them. I mean, should they? Maybe, but they don't. Anybody can buy from them.
Well, they're supposed to sell a VMSMA jug. Those guys who sell jugs are only supposed to sell to a VSMA member.
Yeah.
And where I buy my jugs, they know I am, but every now and then, because they know I'm checking to see if they're checking, they check to see my card, so.
But there's that.
But you're right, yeah, and we know there are people who don't. And that's kind of where the container committee's trying to bring those guys in line to make sure that they do the right thing. And, yes?
The one I think we haven't talked about there is what would happen if you failed? Is there an idea in place for that?
You're right, and I'm glad you asked that question, because we don't really know what we're going to do. If you fail, I would think that what I would like to see, personally, is if I failed, I would like to have somebody come in. It may cost a little more money, because somebody's going to have to come back and visit me, and have all that list of, these are the reasons you failed. Did I fail because I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich while I was boiling, or because I was using my mixed nuts container, didn't wash it, throw all my spouts in there when I was out? I don't know. Or was it something like really crazy, like there was broken windows and there were birds flying through the sugar house, and it was 100 different things. Is it no food safety training that I was doing? What are the different reasons? Is it something we can do to fix it so that next time we come back you can pass?
Well, why does it have to be a second visit? Why can't it be like the inspector has, I don't know, okay, maybe not a tablet with them, because that would be expensive, but I mean, if there's only a couple inspectors, then maybe it's not that big a deal upfront cost, but like, there's a program electronically, and so they're filling it out, and then it gets saved to, like, say, the state's, like, a website, and it's a database, and then it, like, you can email the person you inspected, so it just sends them the whole report.
No, I would disagree with you that tablets aren't that expensive. I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then
I think that if somebody fails, I really think we want to send somebody back to see that they pass before they get certified.
Oh, to make sure that they have, okay. I thought it
Yeah,
was
what I'm
just to
saying
give
is,
them
if
their
I'm going to
results.
say that if I failed the certification visit and you're my inspector, I don't want to just say, yep, I fixed all those things that were wrong.
Well, right.
I want to see somebody else come back. You come and visit me next. Different inspector, different set of eyes. Because there's going to be some sort of person that if I don't pass, I'm probably not going to be very happy. And if I have a disagreement with my inspector, there's got to be some sort of way of kind of like an appellate court for this. That's something we're working out. I really don't think many people are going to fail this. Right now, I think it's a food safety training that people don't understand. And as long as we have it available for you, then you should be able to, you should just take advantage of some resources, and I think most people will pass.
So food safety training, by FDA standards, is considered for all employees, like, you have to be educated and whatnot. But the exemption is family, and for me, the only people who package my syrup is family, people who own the business. And so technically, I don't have logs of training, because we're sitting right here.
Yeah, I kind of wondered about that, because for every exception, they've got an exception for an exception. And it's like, well, but what about this, what about that? It's like, yeah, just do the training. It's the right thing to do. Do you need to train the guys who tap and check lines to boil, and all the food safety that goes along with that? That seems to be ridiculous to me. The guy never, if somebody never sees the inside of the sugar house, why do you need to train them? Except don't eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich while you're capital. I don't know. There's a lot of questions we still have. How much more time do we have?
But don't you think the reality is, and I'd be willing to bet that most everybody in this room has experienced it at least once, is you've gone to a sugar house somewhere else and you walked out and said, holy crap.
That's the thing though, we're all sitting here, you know, we care about what's going on.
Well, that's why I said, you know,
But
we're
there's
getting, I know
10
we're,
more for every one that are not here.
oh, I know,
How do
I've
you
got,
get them on board?
that, it's, I don't know. That's gonna be that risk, because there are the ones that are a high risk. But if they sell to a packer, they may not have a choice. If they sell syrup at farmers markets, they may not have a choice.
That's where you're gonna miss Henry. But Henry would walk into a farmer's market, crack the bottle, make sure it made grades, flavor and stuff, otherwise he'd make you pull it.
Yep.
And Henry would do it on days off. He just happened to be in town.
Yep.
See some syrup for sale, he'll pull a cover.
But there's a young guy who's doing it now, we hope. Again, I don't expect him to be Henry, but he trained with Henry, he's got all the training he possibly can, now he needs experience. So we gotta let this guy kind of get out there and do it.
You're organic certified, is there any overlapping to what we're talking about here with your organic?
Yeah,
Does it help
there's
you
quite a
get-
bit.
Does it help you get more in line with what needs to be with what's coming, or?
There's a little bit of food safety, you know, they were mostly involved. At first, all they cared about was what kind of defoamer you used. After that, they were pretty much done with sugar house. And then it was all about your woods. Whereas this program's not gonna be about the woods at all. It's gonna be all about the sugar house. And NOFA, the organic inspection, got a little more food safety oriented in the last 3 years. But it's not FDA quality. It's just some general questions. And their big thing now is they're trying to make sure that they're trying to run that trail between what you pay, because you pay based on taps, and then are you paying enough for your cheapness? That's where kind of half the sugar house inspections are your cheapness. So, because I guess that's a huge issue with, especially with organic milk. It's trying to figure out how much feed they have per head, you know, all that kind of stuff. They kind of try to use math figures on it too. So, but a lot of the stuff they do is surprise. There should be absolutely no surprises in this. You should know standards. And if you don't know all the in-between stuff, then the idea is the inspector is also going to help you train get there. Ideally, everybody passes, but we know that the reality is not everybody should pass, right?
But it seems as though there would be a program that is not like a binding legal thing, that the state should really set something up to help people get certified.
I thought this was gonna be more actual, talking about things we should be working on and not what the program might be.
Well, I think that what you need to know is that you should get what you're looking for probably by June. Okay. The reason is because since the programs just get going, they're just starting to do the sugar house visits. Last thing you want us to do is tell you exactly what needs to be done, or we don't know what exactly needs to be done, because that's where we are right now. But we will. I guarantee you come back here next year and you get this talk, it's going to be 100% different. It's going to be 1,000% different. Because we're going to know all those do's and don'ts next year. This year we don't know that. This is just kind of general about the program.
If someone needed a general food safety course, is there any such thing online, like a video thing?
We plan on putting that up there. In fact, as part of it, some scripts have already been written.
Okay.
And there'll be some YouTube videos that will have that, as well as some PowerPoint slides that will go along with it. So the idea is that you're going to get what you're looking for from us. Now again, we're not sure if that's going to be available to non-members or just to members. I don't know. It's, some aspects I kind of think, yeah, there's some state money coming into this. You know, we probably ought to let non-members in on it too. But then from being a VMSMA guy, I'm like, you don't want to join. Too bad. You know, go somewhere else and get your info. You're too cheap to join the association. So. Well, you know, there's no reason you can't. Okay, any more questions? Great questions, really enjoyed having you guys here. And if there's anybody here who would like to be part of a mock inspection, have somebody come and visit your sugar house.
How much are you gonna find us for any fine?
There's no, like I'm telling you, there's no fines in anything. We have no ability to enforce anything as an association. There aren't any fines, FDA can fine them, we can't. We can either say you either passed or you didn't pass. That's a good thing.
Is this gonna help kind of set this, I'm assuming, standards?
Yes,
How much feedback would there be in this?
from you, as a,
Well, no, well, yeah, both ways, I guess.
a lot of feedback. I would hope, and that's why we're going. It's for you to say, this is stupid, I can't believe you came in here, why did you waste my time? Or, yes, this was instructional, and we should both be learning from it.
How many people are on the committee that are doing this?
About 8 people. Education committee's kind of working with a specific set of rules, you know, the guidelines and the steps and all the checklists and stuff. There's a group that's working with HMC and marketing. Then there's a group that kind of oversees the whole thing. There's a lot of people working on this. We'd love to have more if you're interested. Interesting.
So how can we go online and say we're interested in being volunteer inspectees?
Yes, you can. The fact is, if you, I'm going to have you go over here and just write your name. If you're interested in being a volunteer inspector, or would like to have your sugar house part of the program. I guess I have a notebook here. Yeah, go ahead and just write your name on there. Tell me what you want to do. If you want to be an inspector, or if you want to have your sugar house inspected. I've got to, just give me your name, phone number, and email.
Just write yourself.
Huh? You
I'm
can't
just
work
not
on
sure
it?
which
Or
one I
you
wanna
can't
go
work
to.
on it?
That's all we want.
Okay. Well, we'll work it out.
The best service produced on Saturdays, we all know that.
It's whatever day it comes out, it's evaporators. Ernie, I used to, you know, I actually told somebody until I made my own syrup, I didn't know the syrup would taste bad, and they laughed their butt off. And I didn't mean it that way, like I made crappy syrup, but I'd never tasted off-flavor syrup. Why should I? As being a consumer, you should never taste off-flavor syrup. So I didn't know how bad syrup could be until I made my own off-flavor syrup.
Come see us in the first week of April.
Yeah. Well, my place, it's about the second week here. Yeah. Cold. Thank you.
All the way down the course.
We need to do something about it, money.
Excuse me?
Just to give you guys.
Yeah, we moved, but the sugar house.
Oh, no, if we decide.
We gotta do something.
Yeah, there's people there at
So
different
I'm gonna
locations.
send,
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
go
go
to
here.
Good luck.
That's all right,
She
you
has
get in
the
your car.
other checkbook and tried.
So we have our sugar house, and then just right up the hill, and where we had it wasn't bar.
Yep.
30 years ago.
But, you know, I can't change anything because it's too
Where we
old.
have.
I've tried to get a hold of Karen, I don't know how many times by email since she
Yeah.
Across the way is
I don't know how
clean
much
room
it is.
where we have packing
I
and
know it's Scotland,
works really well. But I don't know whether that
No,
would be part of the
because they usually do.
inspection.
Well, that's kind of something we're trying to figure out is,
Yeah.
did you write your email?
No, I haven't checked with my partner.
Well, like I said, I volunteer to be, no, the meetings at least until.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, whatever, just so we have some representation up there.
Well,
It's not a job I really want, but somebody should be up there. I mean, we've
well, you know, that's one of the other
directors,
issues,
there was a
and
bunch
I
of
personally
years,
kind of
You
think
know,
that.
hired this other guy too, and, you know, nobody knows what's going on, or what's,
I think that's great.
no, well, I told